The US and Iran have just finished the fifth round of negotiations in Rome over the nuclear deal. With the key details of this meeting still trickling in, Oman, which is mediating the talks, said that the meeting concluded with some but not conclusive progress, adding that the remaining issues may be addressed in the coming days without dwelling into the specifics. But prior to this crucial meeting, though, Tehran issued a stark warning, making it very clear, abundantly clear, that it may relocate its nuclear material to undisclosed locations if it feels its assets are under threat, specifically from Israel. In a formal letter addressed to the United Nations Secretary General and the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Abbas Araghchi, who is Iran's chief negotiator in the ongoing talks and also its foreign minister, outlined what Tehran describes as protective measures against external threats. He said that if Israel continues threats of military action, Iran will have no choice but to implement special steps to safeguard its nuclear infrastructure. The IAEA is currently able to both access and monitor Iran's stockpiles of enriched uranium, and these materials are stored at known sites in Iran and remain under international surveillance and watch. However, if Iran moves these materials to secret, undisclosed locations, it would severely limit any kind of global monitoring. The timing of this message is extremely important. Recent reports from US media outlets claim that Israel is actively preparing for a potential military strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. These plans are reportedly contingent on the collapse of the nuclear talks between the US and Iran. In his letter, the Iranian foreign minister made it clear that Iran would take all required measures to protect its nuclear sites and warned that it would only inform the IAEA after such steps were in place. Ahead of the recently concluded fifth round of talks between US and Iran, Araghchi reaffirmed Iran's position, stating that while more inspections might be negotiable, a ban on uranium enrichment is not. Take a listen.
As they, American officials, have expressed in their interviews that they do not believe that any enrichment can continue in Iran, and they think that we should cease all enrichment activities. If that is their goal, there will be no deal. If they want to take away the right of the Iranian people to use nuclear energy peacefully, we will not have an agreement at all.
Well, reports say that Israel's Strategic Affairs Minister and the Mossad chief are scheduled to meet US negotiators in Rome on the sidelines of the talks. Araghchi also said Tehran is willing to explore the creation of a regional uranium enrichment chamber. However, he clarified that such a proposal cannot replace Iran's sovereign right to enrichment on its own soil. The idea, he said, could complement enrichment but not substitute for it.
The idea of forming a consortium and forming a partnership with other countries is not bad in principle, but it cannot replace enrichment on Iranian soil unless other solutions emerge that allow enrichment to continue on Iranian soil.
Just before departing for Rome, Araghchi outlined Iran's red lines in a post on social media platform X. He stated that figuring out the path to a nuclear deal is, and I'm quoting here, not rocket science, making it very clear that zero nuclear weapons means there is a deal, while zero enrichment means the opposite. Under the terms of now defunct 2015 nuclear deal, Iran had agreed to limit enrichment to 3.67% purity. The IAEA confirmed in February this year that Iran has amassed over 270 kilograms of uranium enriched up to 60%, and close to 90% is needed for weapons-grade material. That figure marks a 92-kilogram increase since the agency's previous report. Iran's warning letter underscores that unless its security concerns are addressed, transparency may end, and international oversight could become a thing of the past, making the latest round of nuclear talks even more significant not just for the US at this point of time or for Iran, but these talks are extremely important for the whole of West Asia. Heart-wrenching scenes out of Gaza today. Palestinian families continue to bury their dead as Israeli strikes intensify. Aid remains painfully scarce, and the global community is beginning to speak out against Israeli aggression, specifically Netanyahu's aggression. In Gaza's Khan Yunis, families mourned in hospital as they carried the bodies of loved ones, some just children killed in Israeli strikes.
What is his fault? He was 12 years old. What is his fault? What did he do to them? How did he hurt them? A child, defenseless, sitting in his tent. What is his fault? A missile? A drone missile? He did not do anything. There was nothing on him. An innocent child, deprived of his childhood. God is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs.
Scenes of funerals and prayers were interrupted by wails and people crying. Others mourn kin who died seeking food. According to Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, at least 29 children and elderly people have reportedly died in recent days from starvation-related issues. The Palestinian health minister has warned that thousands more are at risk as limited aid begins trickling into the bombarded territory.
There is no food, there is no drink. Why is that? They sent us drops, crumbs of flour, not enough for 1% of the need of these afflicted people who want to eat. This one wanted to eat.
On Thursday, wheat and some food supplies trickled in, but far from enough to meet the needs of Gaza's 2.3 million people, many of whom are on the brink of famine. While Israel claims aid is entering Gaza, many say it's far too little.
If it weren't for these voluntary kitchens that give us some food 2 or 3 days a week, we wouldn't have anything to eat. Earlier, we could go to the market to buy some vegetables and other things. But now, there's nothing in the market. Even if there is, the price would be ridiculous.
The German government has sharply criticized the scale of aid allowed in Gaza. And European leaders among Israel's biggest allies have started criticizing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, even threatening sanctions on Israel. But Bibi has hit back, accusing leaders of France, UK and Canada of emboldening Hamas.
How this simple truth evades the leaders of France, Britain, Canada and others. They're now proposing to establish a Palestinian state and reward these murderers with the ultimate prize. Well, for 18 years, we had a de facto Palestinian state. It's called Gaza. And what did we get? Peace? No. You're on the wrong side of justice. You're on the wrong side of humanity. And you're on the wrong side of history. Now, these leaders may think that they're advancing peace. They're not. They're emboldening Hamas to continue fighting forever.
France has rebuked Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's accusation that President Macron was encouraging murderers.
This morning, Benjamin Netanyahu said that President Macron is encouraging the murderers. What is his reaction this morning?
His reaction is very firm. Of course, we do not accept these accusations. Obviously, what happened in Washington was an anti-Semitic act, and we do not accept that either. We do not confuse the Israeli people with the policies being pursued today by Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yes, aid has started coming into Gaza, and the growing international backlash just underscores the mounting pressure on Israel. But for families in Gaza, the suffering just goes on with no end in sight. In a show of NATO solidarity and strategic readiness, 5 Czech Air Force fighter jets have been deployed to Iceland and that's for a key policing mission. Iceland, which has no air force of its own, relies on allied nations to guard its skies. And the deployment comes amid concerns over potential Russian long-range aviation activity in the North Atlantic. Take a look.
Russian activities can reach the North Atlantic, and that is the reason why Iceland, which does not have an air force, asked the alliance for cover. Because I believe that if this readiness were not there, or the airspace surveillance, it would create a certain space that interested states could use other than for peaceful purposes.
The sun may give life, but in China's hands, it might also hold the power to cripple nations. What was once celebrated as clean energy is now a potential tool of coercion. From Washington to Brussels and now Tokyo, alarm bells are ringing louder than ever. Has China turned solar panels into strategic weapons? Reports of embedded kill switches in solar farm infrastructure across the US have triggered urgent reviews of energy security. These are not just technical glitches, they are backdoors allegedly capable of remotely disabling solar energy at will. And the common thread? Most of these panels and inverters were manufactured in China. The latest to raise the red flag is Japan, but officials are now scrutinizing their own solar imports. Tokyo has now ordered a formal probe. The components were found in power inverters, devices that connect solar panels and wind turbines to electricity grids, and they allow remote access for updates. So according to experts, some of the equipment in the solar panels have a communication mechanism. This was a hidden feature unknown to the operator altogether. Reports say that this feature potentially allows remote circumvention of security firewalls. So clearly, sitting thousands of kilometers away, Beijing can switch off, hamper or cripple power systems at its own will. A dangerous proposition. Over the past 9 months, undocumented communication devices, including cellular radios, have also been found in some batteries from multiple Chinese suppliers. Nations are now waking up to this very uncomfortable reality. The clean energy transitions are built on Chinese technology. According to multiple investigations, important components in solar farms across Europe and the US may be vulnerable to remote interference. If true, this is just not about losing power, it's about national security. Solar farms power military bases, hospitals, data centers, and essential infrastructure. A well-timed blackout could paralyze a country without a single missile being fired. Energy is the new frontline, and China is clearly far ahead in this race, and that too not just in manufacturing it, but in control as well. As countries scramble to decouple from Chinese tech dependence, the green dream is now turning into a geopolitical nightmare. The message is clear. Solar is not just about sunshine anymore. It's about sovereignty.